Dr. Saab, I think for our viewers, maybe you can elaborate a little bit about the golden age of Islam that you call often, and you refer to it in your works, earlier works as well. So roughly, how long was this, and where was it, and what were the distinctive features of this age?
Yes, it was, I would say, roughly from the time of Harun al-Rashid when he becomes the Caliph of Islam in Baghdad, 9th century. And it lasted and it ended. It began in Baghdad in a sense, and it ended in Baghdad in 1258 when the Mongols hit it like atomic bombs. Literally, they destroyed the city, destroyed the libraries, the books, destroyed the very basis of that civilization. Now, between this period, which is a fairly long period of history, you have libraries, scholars, tremendous versatility, intellectual ferment. Let me give you one example. Cordoba, on the western side of this Muslim world that I'm talking about, is the capital of Andalusia. And Raza, think of it. Cordoba then is the largest city of Europe. I mean, it's mind-boggling. It is in Paris. It is in London. London and Paris don't even have universities then. It is Cordoba. And Cordoba's libraries are mind-blowing. You have 93 libraries in Cordoba. And the largest library, which belongs to the Caliph, has 600,000 manuscripts. When the largest library in Europe at that time, which was in Switzerland, had 600 books. So 600,000 versus 600. Now, again, these libraries, the scholarship encouraged Muslims, Jews, Christians, and it really created an ethos that I call the ilm ethos. It encouraged scholarship. So rulers would respect you irrespective of your religion. For example, Roger II of Sicily, another great ruler, not Muslim, Christian ruler, but he had great respect for learning. And his chief advisor was Idrisi. Idrisi was a Muslim. And he respected Idrisi so much that he would not sit on the throne until Idrisi had taken his seat. Or Frederick II, another great man, another great, again Christian, a Holy Roman Emperor. He actually had Arabic on his mantle. He had bodyguard that were Muslim, and he had Arabic calligraphy in his royal palace and on the throne. So, and of course, he had that great diplomatic coup, as we know in history, when he went to the Middle East in the middle of the Crusades. It's mind-boggling. And because of his great respect for Muslims, Muslims responded in kind, because you cannot continue to kill people and suppress people and expect them to love you. But you can expect them to respond with kindness if you show them kindness and respect. And this is what Frederick II did. And the king of Egypt, then Kamel, respected him so much that they said, "What are we fighting for? For Jerusalem?" Frederick said, "What do you want? If you give me Jerusalem, what would you want in order for me to keep Jerusalem so I can say I've got Jerusalem? And the Crusades are over." And he said access to the holy places for both the Muslims and the Jews is very important for us to notice what the Caliph wanted from him. He said, "Fine, this is all done. It's yours. It's much as yours as it is mine. Let us end the fighting." So this was such a great diplomatic coup that, again, I'm surprised it's not taught in the foreign service academies in the world, because you can achieve tremendous and solve great problems by this kind of personal diplomacy. So it was a period of course, there was treachery and killing and murder and strife, which is very common in human society. But there was overall also this idea of ilm and knowledge and promoting science. And I don't have to tell you, Raza, that that period produced some of the greatest intellectuals of Europe. So that if you look at the stars and the planets, a vast number of them have Arabic names because they were discovered by Muslims. If you look at the stars, Ibn Rushd, I mentioned him, there's a crater on the moon named after. There's a crater on the moon named after Ibn Firnas, who's the first man to fly. He actually flew. Again, Cordoba, scholar, mathematician, administrator, discoverer, and he wanted to fly. So he put on some wooden wings and jumped off a hill. And they say he flew for about 10 minutes and, of course, crashed. Now, to honor him, today in Spain, if you visit Cordoba, you'll see a bridge which is in the shape of wings, huge wings. And as I said, there's a crater on the moon. So these scholars were again living in that environment of exploration, of intellectual vitality, and they were creating things and making an impact. And of course, Europe, which at that stage had not woken up, was noting this. And we know the story of the scholars coming from Oxford, coming to Andalusia, learning from Andalusia, going back and starting a college, and then very quickly Cambridge followed. So there was a kind of copycat effect also taking place, where Europe began to pick up these what you would call the secrets of the golden age of Islam. And now the tragedy is, I've talked about this golden age with such enthusiasm. Yet, when I was doing my study, because this is based on this bigger study that I did, the quartet for the Brookings Press, that I would go to museums, the London Museum, for example, or the museum in Paris or Madrid, and I'd ask them about history, European history, and they would invariably tell me European history goes something like this. There were the Greeks, Greek civilization. They created the Roman civilization. Then we had this period of the Dark Ages, and then came the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, the discovery of America, and we were off to the modern age. So this whole period, this 1,000 years of the golden age of Islam, has dropped into a hole, into a dark hole, and it's called the Dark Ages of Europe. And I think it's critical that historians, professors, scholars, authors really reintroduce, help us rediscover the golden age of Islam, and why it is so important, and why it is such a critical link between past and the present, because there would be no Greeks without the Muslims, because it is Ibn Rushd and people like him, not him alone, who spent a lifetime translating Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, not only translating them, but then adding to them in theory, in discussions, in flights of fancy. So you have an incredibly rich fertilization between Greek ideas and Muslim thinking.
Yes, Dr. Sab, that's why your work I earlier mentioned is so invaluable, because it kind of addresses this huge gap in the body of knowledge, but also is a great response to the erasure of history that has taken place over the centuries.